So kind of attesting to some of that drama while recording Hybrid Theory, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. This is kind of an infamous story that Mike actually talks about it. There's like a little skit on his first, the Fort Minor record, where somebody who he doesn't name was talking about how he should just play keyboard and something about Joe Hahn should wear a lab coat and a cowboy hat when they play live. Do you know anything about that story?
I think you know more about it.
I think it all came from the same source. When you have someone who doesn't really understand something and goes to that kind of lengths, you got to wonder about the person. I mean, like it was all, I don't know if it all came from, these are just silly ideas that came all from the same source. I don't know if it was David himself, but they all kind of came through him. Sure. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who was really inventing these, like, ridiculous... Because, again, everyone's perspective was like, well, this band looks kind of too normal, right?
I do remember David going, can we put Mike as the keyboard player? And me and Robert were just like, no, the guy is actually... He's the rapper, and he's the main guy in the band.
Songwriter.
Songwriter. And that upset him. So, yeah, what did you say, the lab coat thing? Yeah, I almost want to think I heard something about like a cowboy hat on somebody. Yeah.
I mean, listen, I've heard all the stories. I mean, I remember.
Just put it this way: that did not come from me.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, no. By the way, this is the hardest thing about that time, right? Here's Jeff, who wanted them to only win and wanted everyone to just support the vision of the band. Right? And all these people just kept inventing ways to get in the way. The difference back then is that you had 20 gatekeepers before it even got to that point, and Jeff had to battle all of them. You know, not to say things were right or wrong along the way, but the opinions that were just allowed to kind of get, and I joked around that my job during that process was telling everyone to shut up. You know? Just stop. Everyone just stop. Let them make the record. And of course, when they made the record, there were still the people going, well, I'm not sure about this. It's a lot like this. And then all of a sudden it took, you know, once the radio guy spoke up, you know what I mean? That's when.
Well, yeah, you got to remember when we finished the album, still nobody was really into it. It was really the radio.
In fact, I think you tell a story. They were still giving you shit for talking about.
I was bringing it around because I was so pumped on it. I'm taking it around, and I'm being told by one of the supporters, like, hey, you know, you should really, nobody likes you.
The guy's excited, so what?
Yeah, I was knocking on people's door, like, listen to this. And they're like, yeah. And I get a call, I get taken this out, like, hey, you may want to stop talking about this hybrid theory.
Yeah, this is stuff that I don't even know if the band even knows that silly stuff.
No, and that's the thing, too, is my relationship with the band, which it was very unique, because I had known these guys for almost 3 years at this point, literally 3 years at this point. And we had that open relationship, and our promise to each other was to always be honest. So I'm coming to them with the daily or hourly drama, and you know, now that's not, you know, so I should use this guy. That's why you have a manager. And we were all brand new into this, and things could have been dealt better with on.
Yeah, and I would bust Jeff's balls every once in a while during the process. Yeah, there's a story he puts in there that he took wrong. I feel bad about, but
yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I didn't realize it was going to be. But you know,
I'm still scarred on that one. I'm sorry.
Honestly, I can't even remember where it came from, but I know that it got to them. Like, and it had to have been some kind of conversation that, I mean, honestly, it had to be relayed to them somehow. Probably.
I don't remember that.
Well, you're gonna block it out, right?
Anything like stupid as that. Maybe it was even said like, "Oh my God, this was suggested by so and so," or maybe somebody in marketing, whatever it was. It seemed ludicrous and ridiculous. So,
yeah, it was, you know, and I really felt bad for the band because they were new to it all, right? They just wanted to learn how it all kind of worked. They're looking for us to learn how it works, and now they've made it this far, right? You've gotten through all this stuff, and now there's still some jerk trying to prevent you from being what your vision is, right?
Yeah.
I don't blame them for being incredulous. I think it was misdirected at Jeff a little, but you know, that's neither that happened.
And you got to remember too, I'm in my dream job. They've got their dream job. I'm being told like I'm almost going to get fired, and you know, like it was just a nightmare. thank God it's in the past. Thank God this album came out amazing because that changed.
Well, I think unfortunately, yes, there's been that drama probably. If anyone wants to look at it in hindsight, they can see that people were pushed in certain ways to perform and get things done. Jeff was doing his job. Don was doing his job. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here trying to keep everyone on the same page, right? And I'm just like, I just started working with this band in February. It's only April.
And I just started a brand new job, my dream job, and I'm getting drama. And mind you, I was pretty, and I would tell Rob, I was pretty intense. I had my goal and my vision, and it was to make this band the biggest band ever. I probably came off pretty damn hard, and Rob and I talked about this. I wanted what was best, and in hindsight, I know I'm an intense, very passionate person, which is what it takes to succeed too. But I know I'm.
Well, it goes in that type of thing, right? Where we all have our good qualities, we all have our flaws, we all have these little things, little quirks. I'm sure if you ask the band, they'd probably tell you 20 of mine, right? You know what I mean? Like that's. But that's the nature of it, right? But the intention was real. It was really it was passion, right? It was all passion based. The guys who thought that they knew better ahead of us ended up being almost wrong the entire time, right? I'm making up the record. I shall say that because the record company, by the time that was kicking in, those guys, the promo guys, were dead on in terms of. I mean, they would make mistakes too, right? To help us build Linkin Park.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's a good one. But you know what? But there were certain reasons why people would try to do things, and so you've got to really understand, especially when now let's take it into you're an artist in that, right? Mm-hmm. And the band, I didn't want them really because they would go in, right before I started working with them, they would go into the label, and there's an infamous meeting that gets talked about where they tried to tell the label who they wanted to be, right?
Oh, the one where they did the big presentation.
Yeah, and that went down as bad as you think it did, right? Just in terms of people thought, because again, whether they think they have egos or not, they thought they were being told what to do, right? And people want to be able to hear something, create, and make their own opinions. Yeah, and honestly, for all artists and all these people, it's hard because you're trying to get things right, but you've got to really understand the audience you're talking to and how they're going to take something.
No, the cowboy hat in the lab.
I mean, he would look cute in the cowboy hat, right?
I honestly thought that was. I thought that was a made-up myth. I kind of remember.
So asinine. I don't really remember every bit of it. I just remember it being retold, and then I remember.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
You remember the feeling. You remember the feeling of. There were times where I'd come in the studio and like, you can't believe what we were just told. I'm like, what is going on? Like that's the feeling I remember. Not all the time, but during that, right? Because you got to keep everyone calm. You got to keep everyone making the record. The record was coming out great. Meanwhile, I'm trying to stay away too because I don't like to get involved in that creative on an artist standpoint. Mm-hmm. That's for them to do.
Sure.
Sorry, guys. Everyone has to put up with this.